All right, welcome in to another edition of the Wrestler's Dozen. I am Randy Isbell. This is
David Duefenberg.
Figure I'd let you talk
Oh.
in the first 3 minutes, unlike the other two episodes where you sat there. This is our third. I can't count. Third episode, I think.
The number after 2.
Yep, 3. We're going a little different. We have just done matches so far. This time we're going to do TV segments, TV concepts, interview shows. Very popular in the WWE. All of these are WWE shows. Good. I don't think WCW really utilized it at all.
Well, they had, I think, a Flair for the gold or something. I don't remember.
That was a show, I think.
Oh yeah.
I forget.
I think that was.
But yeah, they had Mean Gene.
Yeah.
So they didn't really have that. So we're gonna go through. We have, I think, 15. It might only be 12. We'll find out. I didn't count. I can't even count to 3. And rate them as always. Come up with our top 12. And of course, if you like the list or you don't like the list, leave comments. We want to hear your list. What did we miss out? There's not a lot that you can miss out on these talk shows, but the order can definitely be wrong. I'll, of course, like and share and do all the other YouTube stuff. We would greatly appreciate it. We do this once a week. So let's get started with the one that I believe started it all. You can tell I did a ton of research right before we started. I'm sorry. Piper's Pit. It came out in 1984. And this was the perfect guy to start this thing. Just his charisma is fantastic.
Yeah.
He could really poke at competitors. Of course, the most famous was the Jimmy Snuka one and the coconut. And you see that come up every few years. When they bring up Piper, they always have to show that clip. And I think that's what really kind of got these segments over, is you can really push superstars without having the generic, I'm staring at the camera and I'm going to face you later tonight. You can really have kind of an interaction and create storylines that way. It gets a little overdone these days, but at the beginning, this was fantastic.
Yeah, that also started off Hogan and Andre.
Yeah.
Was Piper's Pit, and that's when I started watching wrestling. It was WrestleMania 3. And I never knew Piper was a bad guy back then, so when going back and seeing some of these, I'm just like, oh wow, Piper was not very nice then, but he could carry anything. As I guess stuff was Mr. T, as awful as the matches were, it made you still want to see it. Like, especially their boxing match at WrestleMania, which might be saved for a worse of show when we want to vomit. So.
Yes. Well, we try to be very positive at this show. We
Yes.
want to bring up the good in wrestling. I know there's a lot of hate for wrestling right now, so we wanted to do this show to remember the good times. But we'll talk bad.
Yeah.
So let's go to then all of the ripoffs that came out in like a 5-year span. And spoiler alert, I hate most of these. Let's start with Jake Roberts on the Snake Pit. One thing I will say, Jake Roberts on the mic, fantastic. His character doesn't need a talk show.
Yeah.
He's like the cerebral assassin before Triple H. Him having a talk show is like, I can't even think of one. I'm losing it.
Yeah.
Lance Storm having a talk show. It makes zero sense.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yeah, I enjoyed it as a kid, of course. It set up WrestleMania 3, of course, with Alice Cooper, the segment with the Honky Tonk Man, setting that all up. That's my main memory for it. I chose it just for nostalgia value, of course. I didn't choose a lot of the later ones because they just didn't measure up to me, because I'm an old man.
You are.
Yes.
One that I thought was actually pretty good just because of the character, and it was a lot more different than some of these. The Brother Love Show.
Yes.
What a weird ass character Brother Love was. The whole red faced and just yelling all the time. Again, first manager ever of The Undertaker, because that combination makes fucking sense. Almost as much as it makes sense that Jake Roberts had a talk show.
Yes.
But this was good. And I liked it. And I think more managers should have had talk shows. And actually, I just realized one talk show I don't think we have on here and may have ended up being near the top was why am I blanking on his name? Bobby Heenan and his like legit talk show. That doesn't make the list because I forgot about it. But Brother Love was good.
Yeah, I hated him as a kid. Just pure hatred, which is what you wanted the reaction to be. Because I just remember him just drove me nuts. Red face. And now I listen to Bruce Pritchard's podcast. And I remember, I think it was 2000s or something like that, when I'd see Bruce Pritchard on TV on occasion. And then I was like, wait a minute. That was Brother Love, wasn't it? Then sure enough, the gimmick Battle Royal, there he is. Like, holy crap. All this time. But yeah, it set up a lot of stories and angles. Of course, I was a Hogan fan as a kid, and he always tried to get to Hogan. I think that's when Earthquake debuted, too. It was on Brother Love show. I might be wrong. I probably am, so correct me, please. But yeah, lots of nostalgia again.
Of course. We're going to keep it old. Kind of like the Brother Love show, but stupid. The Funeral Parlor with Paul Bearer. Again, I just said Brother Love was great because he's a manager and it kind of worked. The Funeral Parlor, really? Stop it.
It's classic.
No, it's
especially when his hand got caught in the casket by Jake Roberts, weird, another talk show guy.
Right.
And getting that feud going, but that was just, I just remember that also set up the Hogan feud as well. There's Hogan's in a lot of these, isn't he?
Yeah, well, because this is all the
Yeah.
late 80s. This is when Hogan was everywhere. I'm not saying that they didn't use them for good.
Yes.
But the show ideas are stupid. Piper had it nailed. Brother Love was fine. Stop it with those two. And again, we're going to go one more. Shawn Michaels should not have had a talk show. The Heartbreak Hotel was pointless. It lets him talk. He could talk on any of these other shows.
I didn't pick that one, did I?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I might have, just because I needed to pick one.
Yeah. Not too many fond memories of that one. It's probably after he butchered up the barbershop, which was probably going to be talked about soon too. But yeah, he didn't need a talk show at all.
Yeah, let's just get to that right now.
Yes.
And the last of this section, and then we'll kind of move things around. The barbershop. We're going to have a heated discussion about the barbershop. Because you keep bringing up, it started this feud, it started that feud. Possibly one of the most iconic moments in any of these talk shows happened on the barbershop.
Yes.
Worst talk show ever.
It's Brutus Beefcake, man. Actually, two great moments in it to me. Obviously, the Rockers splitting up. That was huge at the time, throwing Jannetty through the glass. But also when Sid didn't get his WrestleMania main event and he tore up the barbershop, and that's what ended the barbershop, which you should be thankful for.
I love Sid.
Yes, but when he took the chair to all the shampoo and everything, and all of a sudden he turns around and he's got all the stuff on his face. It's like, that was, you couldn't have planned that better. I think it just made it that much better. A happy accident, as you'd say.
Again, segments are fine.
Yes.
A man should not have had a talk show. Okay.
His face got broken in 7,000 pieces. He earned it.
So out of these 6, again, we're going to go to the 3-tier thing for right now. Piper's in the top tier.
Yes.
Brother Love,
I think should be. I'll fight for Brother Love.
Yeah, I would say top tier. I hate all 4 of the Snake Pit, Funeral Parlor, Heartbreak Hotel, Barbershop. They're all garbage.
Barbershop should be at least second.
I'll be nice because it has the moments, but when we start ranking, it's shit. And the other 3 are so pointless. They just make no sense.
Oh, I picked them. I was like, yeah, those are it. And I think about it, I was like, I was kind of a stupid kid. But
well, no, again, they have great moments.
Oh, yeah.
It's just the idea of them
Yeah.
or whatever. But again, this was late 80s, early 90s. The characters were way over the top. I mean, every wrestler had a job.
Yeah.
Obviously, the barber.
Even though it wasn't an official talk show, I wish we could have just bundled up $1 Billion Man's challenges to give people money. Those were classic.
Right. All right, so let's get to one that really worked, and just because of the character that did it. King's Court with Jerry Lawler. This became a staple on Monday Night Raw. He got this thing over so much.
Yeah.
Of course, with all of the Bret Hart segments and bringing him on all the time and going after his family. And again, you didn't have to have this big giant set like all of these other ones had to have. It was just a throne in the middle of the ring, and he sat there and degraded you, and his character got this one over.
Yeah, Stu wasn't even my dad, and I felt bad for him. But I just remember, I don't know why it's stuck in my head because I just have the crazy memory. He did the King's Court and everything, and he was finally going to wrestle a match on Raw against Jim Powers. And twice he came out, twice he went to the back because he was getting booed too much, and just the crowd was just like so mad at him. Then he finally got Jim Powers attacked him, and the match happened, and of course Lawler won. But just those segments alone, the crowd was ready to just see him get it. Mm-hmm. Jim Powers sadly didn't do it. Legend. But yeah.
Well, we'll see if he ever makes a list.
Yeah. Because he didn't even have like Shatner on there, and that was even good.
Yeah, Shatner was on there. He who was
Tiny Tim? I remember he degraded too.
And then Isaac Yankem came out of that, so we'll just move on. Top tier?
Yes.
Yeah,
easily.
absolutely. Another one, I'm just going to put on the top tier. One of the longer running ones, and again, I think character has really pushed it over. It has changed over the years along with the character, but of course, Chris Jericho and the highlight reel. Fantastic character to do it. Obviously, he's really good on his own podcast, so he knows how to do the interview stuff. And again, why would Chris Jericho make sense when I'm saying Shawn Michaels and stuff doesn't? The dude just made it work, and it was during a time when there weren't 20 of them.
Yeah.
I think that's why I hate so many of these, is because after Piper's Pit, again, Brother Love, Beefcake, Roberts, Bear, and Michaels all came out in the next 2 or 3 years. You had all of them going at the same time. After King's Court, there really wasn't one. And Jericho filled that void and then some. Fantastic.
Yeah. And we have to obviously give props because of the obscenely expensive Jeritron 5000. Maybe that can't go unnoticed. Spend that much money, you got to be top tier on that. But yeah, because even I just remember he's an active wrestler, and they introduced angles that he's not even involved in on his segment. Mm-hmm. Like when Cena first got drafted to Raw, huge moment and it was on the highlight reel. So they could bring him in, and obviously if he won't show up anytime soon, but if you just say highlight reel's coming up, interest is peaked, something big's gonna happen. It was obviously there, even like the Festival of Friendship that was started with that too, and yeah, it never got old.
Mm-hmm. And, I mean, again, it worked well when he was a heel or a face or anything. One that I don't think is going to go very far. I only put it on the list because I remember this was when WWE was really pushing side videos on their website that had nothing to do with it. I remember the 5 questions for Cena thing where it was always hilarious because he was making fun of Brooklyn Brawler the whole time. And it had its own inside thing. This one started there as well. The Dirt Sheet with The Miz and John Morrison became a talk show in ECW for a little bit. Didn't have that big of a run. Wasn't great. It was just, I wanted to bring it up because, again, their vignettes on the website worked extremely well, and I think they got themselves over by doing it, kind of like what Zack Ryder started to do with the Long Island Ice, whatever he was.
Yeah.
Show.
Woo, woo, woo.
I think he started that after seeing what they could do, and it was just a side thing to get themselves over.
Yeah. And it worked. I wasn't the biggest fan of it because I honestly liked both before. I'll be that guy. I liked them before they were cool. Yeah, The Miz really needed it though because I watched him on Real World because I was that cool kid who watched that. But when he was on Tough Enough, it's like, whoa, he was on the Real World. I hope he does great. And then he looks like a creator wrestler that with the weird shorts and the spiked hair. And...
Well, it didn't help him out that he was used to be the Diva Search host, and he bombed that really bad.
I'm happy guy. Look at me. I'm neat.
Side story. I used to do backyard wrestling because I was a stupid kid. Everyone used to make fun of me because I named my character The Riz, and that's kind of been a nickname that has stuck over the years. And they go, you just ripped it off from The Miz. I did, but it was when he was on the Real World. Like, it was a joke because it was the season that he was on there, and we were coming up with character names or whatever, and I go, well, The Miz has nothing on The Riz while he was on the Real World, and here he is now. He's been a world champion. So I did rip off The Miz.
And he's got Maurice.
I didn't think he was going to be that big. So Miz, you're welcome. I made you a thing.
Yes.
No, not at all. Another one was fine. The character was fine. Didn't last that long. Carlitos Cabana. It was a thing.
I liked it more than most people. Probably because I just loved the character. Because it was almost a Razor Ramon ripoff, and I loved Razor Ramon, and just the apple spitting thing, and I just thought the music was awesome. But yeah, I liked Carlito way more than I probably should have. I think I even had I spent 99 cents to get his theme as my ringtone on my phone when people actually paid money for those.
Yeah, if he didn't have his own personal issues and
yeah,
the motivational issues and whatever was going on backstage, he could have been fantastic if he was still in there.
Yes.
I mean, his run was pretty short. So, again, talk show was fine.
Yeah.
Character was great. Talk show was what it was. Second appearance here by The Miz with Miz TV, possibly the second longest talk show.
Yeah.
And again, just like the highlight reel, I think he's really turned this into his own. It gets overbooked now because it seems like it's almost every Raw and every SmackDown where we get Miz TV, so it doesn't. It kind of loses it a little bit. At least with the highlight reel for a while, it was like every other week, and they would spread it out a little bit. But I'm with you. I've come to fall for The Miz. He's fantastic. To me, he's a Hall of Famer, and most people would kind of still scoff at that.
Yeah.
But for what he's done in the ring and outside the ring, I mean, the dude works harder than most of the people on the roster. I'm glad he got the title run, and
I just needs another one.
Yeah, his show was great.
Yeah, it was just another one of those segments too where you hated the guy, but you love to hate him. Mm-hmm. It's like the not quite modern day Lawler. It's way too much credit, but he just always said the right thing where you're just like, no, you're wrong, but it makes sense. Damn it. And it makes you
a good heel.
Yeah, made you look forward to his matches. Unlike some of these other ones, like the highlight reel where it was never always about Jericho. Like Miz TV always seemed to be about him. So that's why it wasn't as good to me.
At least he would always make it about him.
Yeah, exactly.
It wouldn't start about him, but he would make it that way. And then the final one that just started last year due to injury stuff and trying to keep her on TV, which her character has been just fantastic. Alexa Bliss with the Moment of Bliss. This might be the hardest one to figure out where I'm going to want to put it, because again, the character is great. She plays it off great, but like the first 4 months, the gimmick was she could never get the show off the ground. Like some kind of shit happened, and now it's tough to get rolling a little bit. It doesn't have its own feel. It's up on the walkway.
She likes coffee.
Yeah, they've gotten coffee over, I guess, as a T-shirt.
Starbucks needed it.
Right. So that one's going to be one of the more difficult ones, I think.
On looks, she wins.
Yes, she is the best looking out of the 12 that we just talked about. And her 20 or 365 thing that's on the network, I just watched the other day. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
She had a rough year.
Yes. And she was on Total Divas one season too, and she's like honestly one of the most down to earth people you'll ever meet. And she nothing like her character on TV, which is probably why she does it so good, because she gets to just ham it up.
Yep. All right, so we didn't really put those in tiers very well. I was just moving stuff around. Now we have our 12. We got to rank all 12.
Yes.
So let's start from the bottom. And so I think the Dirt Sheets last.
Yeah.
I just don't think it had much of a run. I think that's pretty easy. And then to me, I think it's 3 of the ripoffs from the Piper's Pit. And I'll let you rank these 3 however you want. This is your nostalgia, sir. Heartbreak Hotel, Funeral Parlor, and the Snake Pit.
I think the way they're sitting right now, Heartbreak Hotel will be 11. Snake Pit above that, then Funeral Parlor, just because Paul Bearer, as annoying as he was on the mic, he definitely got you interested.
Okay, then our next 3 in this group, The Barbershop, which is way too high, A Moment of Bliss, and Carlitos Cabana. I want to put Barbershop, where are we at? 12, in 8th. I'll give it the best of that group. put Bliss above Carlito. I'm sure you want to put Barbershop ahead of both. Explain to me. Take out moments. Okay. If we're talking about best moments on a talk show, Barbershop would be up near the top tier.
Yes.
Explain to me why listening to Brutus Beefcake is better than listening to Alexa Bliss.
Well, you put it that way. We got to look at her. Because for me, this on a moment of bliss, there's been a lot of flops on it. As good as she is, I don't think it's on her. This is a lot on the guest. But on the flip side, Barbershop, it wasn't on the host. It was the guest that made it good. And so now I'm conflicting myself. And
exactly.
Lose sleep over this. I think Cabana is below both those.
I would be fine with that.
But between Bliss and Barbershop...
Bliss is staying above Brutus. I will fight. We don't have a lot of room here. But we will fight if you want to put Brutus over Alexa. Again, rough start to her talk show. I think is catching ground. She has announced some good stuff on there.
I think
wasn't a moment of bliss where they announced the women's tag team titles? So she's had a big moment.
Yeah,
the women's tag team titles doesn't turn into much, but
when she said she was coming back to be in the Rumble, that was pretty big. But yeah, I was ready to argue for Brutus, but when I said that it's the guest that made his show good, I was like, oh crap.
Of course, 100%.
Yeah,
he should be down here.
No,
he's garbage. All right, so those are our bottom 7. So we have our top 5. I think those are the easiest consensus that we have our 5. Now we have to rank them. We have Piper's Pit. We have Brother Love, King's Court, Highlight Reel, Miz TV. I think easiest 5th is Brother Love.
Easiest 5th to me is Miz TV.
Why?
Because I'm old.
How old are you?
Well, I started before you.
Okay, that's true.
By the time this airs, I'll be 36.
But this ran for what, a year?
I think it went 2 or 3.
The Miz TV's been running like a decade.
Yes, it has. But he didn't get fired, though. But now he's in the back producing all these shows. Well, not really. Damn it, my arguments kind of suck right now.
I'm really good at arguing.
I'm good at talking myself out of my own arguments, too, apparently.
Cool, it's going to be really easy. So Brother Love is 5th. I'll put Miz TV 4th, though.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to push for Miz TV.
Yeah.
I do think that the 3 best, as far as talk shows, Piper, Lawler, and Jericho.
Yes.
3 of the best on the mic. I mean, it makes sense. I have my order.
Yeah.
I want to hear your order of those top 3.
My top 3 would probably be Piper's Pit, Highlight Reel, King's Court.
Okay. So we agree on 3rd.
Oh, yeah.
And we might agree on 1st. It's so tough.
I think we got like 2 of the
Maybe it's because I'm such a Jericho mark that I love.
So am I. That's why I was surprised. And also just because if it weren't for Piper's Pit, we wouldn't have the highlight.
That is very true. I mean, Piper's Pit started it all. It is tough to top.
Yeah.
It really is. I'm going to agree with you. So Piper's Pit started the whole thing off, other than the Heenan show, which I forget what year that thing was.
Yeah.
But that only had like 2 or 3 episodes. But Heenan was fantastic. If he had one of these, like, legit time, it would definitely be high on the list. Yes. I love Heenan. He was so great. Okay. So obviously, there's not a lot that we cut off. But if you think that we missed one that was better than the Dirt Sheet or Heartbreak Hotel or whatever, of course, leave a comment down below. But if you think Brutus Beefcake and the Barbershop should be higher than 7th, I have to know why. And if you start it with Shawn Michaels or Breaking of Glass or Sid, you have it wrong. It's all about the host. And Brutus Beefcake is a terrible host. His Hall of Fame speech was the worst this year. Shouldn't even be in the top 7, but I'm a nice guy.
Sorry, Peep Show fans.
Yeah, Peep Show didn't make it. What else did we miss?
The Ambrose Asylum.
Ambrose Asylum didn't go for very long. I think if they let Dean be more like Moxley, I think maybe that show gets over a little bit more.
Kevin Owens show. Didn't Edge have one?
The
Cutting Edge.
The Cutting Edge. I mean, they didn't have a a long thing.
A
few of them could probably beat Dirt Sheet, I'll be honest. But I like their internet part of it. Of course, the Kevin and Sammy show. Sammy, I don't want to miss out on you on that one. Real quick, before we get to the ending of this, my only question to you is who never had a talk show, either past or present, or give me one of each. Give me a past person and a present person that you thought should have had a talk show.
Let's see here. Present. Well, I think even Paul Heyman, the way he can get any angle over.
Oh, God.
He does.
The problem is Heyman is on the TV a lot.
Yeah.
Anyways, which is fine.
Like
one of the best talkers.
If Brock is out of the picture, like suddenly he would make me want to see. Well, he probably wouldn't make me want to see Baron Corbin at all. But he could probably just make it more interesting, even like just the way he can antagonize people into wanting to fight and hyping it up. Because I was a big ECW fan, and he made so many people look great. Mm-hmm. And then people were like, "Oh, they suck in WWF," and I was like, "Well, probably because they do suck." Man, because like looking back, I was like, "Oh, they don't know how to use them." It's like, well, Heyman knows how to make people better than they are. Mm-hmm. Sandman.
Oh God. So...
Drunk guy swinging a cane. He loved him in ECW.
Yeah. All right. So what about a past person?
Past person. Oh.
I've actually changed mine in my head after I asked the question.
Yeah.
But I like mine now. So.
Well, I was trying to even think of people that were.
All right. So while you think, my current ones, we see them all the time. They have great segments. The New Day, I think, would have a fantastic talk show, way over the top goofiness, and you see Xavier on Up, Up, Down, Down doing all the interviews and stuff, and that's always fun. And some of those segments could get really interesting. On a side note, one that would be really annoying in a good way, I think if the Iconics had one, that would be fantastic.
Iconic.
But for the past person, I think was a big missed opportunity. Just remembering some of his segments as a commissioner, Mick Foley.
Yeah.
I think if Mick Foley would have had a talk show, especially in that commissioner era when he was goofing off with Edge and Christian and Kurt Angle and stuff, I think that would have been great.
Yeah, that'd probably be mine then too, because obviously the people always say that This Is Your Life was the best segment on Raw, which non-wrestling I believe was. It was two of the best on the mic, best characters, Mankind, Rock, and they just made that work. And Foley, even just as a goofy commissioner, I mean, hell, the cat pretty much ran WCW, and it was awful. So when I give Mick Foley, it was actually funny, a talk show segment.
Yeah, and The Rock would have been one too.
Yeah.
Early on, I mean, SmackDown Hotel writes itself. I mean, he said that all the time. So how that didn't become a talk show just shows that they weren't into talk shows in the 90s, which is fine. But, I mean, he had his own great segments. We will be back next week with a shorter version, the top 6, and back in 2 weeks with another full version. We're here every week with another list. If you have any ideas for lists, let us know. We're always open to ideas. I will say, however, that this dude over here is about to have a newborn. He's not pregnant. He looks fat. He's not the one pregnant, but he will be having a newborn, so we're trying to record a bunch right before. So if you have a great suggestion, it might get pushed back a little bit. It's just because we're trying to record before baby takes up all his time. But for David, I'm Randy. We will see you next week. Thanks for hanging out.
Yes.